The Black Centurion card, a treasure promising unlimited exclusivity, lay in tatters on the pristine marble floor. Maya Richardson's fingers, moments before clutching her premium plastic, now hung motionless, as if the scene were nothing more than a surrealist painting. Derek Walsh's polished Oxford shoe, a beacon of arrogance in the elegant lobby of the Sterling Grand Hotel, ground down viciously, crushing the fragments of what had once been the symbol of a $5,000 credit line, as if it were an unwanted cigarette butt. "This is embarrassing for everyone," Derek hissed, his voice deliberately loud so every guest in the lobby could hear the spectacle. "Wherever you got this fake card from, give it back. You're not welcome here." Sarah, the on-duty receptionist, stifled a nervous giggle, her eyes fixed on the remains. "Should I get the mop, Derek? That card probably had diseases." The digital clock at reception blinked 11:47 p.m., a cold reminder of slipping time and unfolding ignorance. The employees, unknowingly, were demolishing their own careers with every cruel word, every hasty judgment. Maya's worn canvas sneakers, faded jeans, and simple cotton t-shirt seemed to have triggered every racist and classist instinct those souls possessed. But Maya stood motionless, an unbreakable statue of calm amid the storm of contempt. Have you ever been called trash in a place where, ironically, you owned everything around you? Maya bent down slowly, with an almost imperceptible grace, picking up the shattered pieces of her card. The black metal, now marked by the imprint of Derek's shoe, still retained a residual warmth from the humiliation. With a serene motion, she slipped the remnants into her old leather messenger bag, without uttering a word. The silence that followed was more eloquent than any scream. She straightened up, her gaze as calm as a deep lake. "I have a reservation for a penthouse suite," she announced, her voice barely a whisper that nonetheless captured everyone's attention, laden with tacit authority. She placed her phone, a latest generation model with a worn leather case, on the gleaming marble counter. The screen glowed with her email confirmation: Sterling Grand Hotel, Penthouse 45501. Guest, Maya Richardson. Derek barely glanced at it, his disdain a heavy cloak. "Anyone can Photoshop this garbage. You think we're stupid?" Behind him, Sarah typed frantically on her computer, a drumming that echoed in the tense silence. "I'm checking our system right now," she said, her voice wavering. "There is a Maya Richardson booked, but—" She looked up at Maya, then back at Derek. "This can't be right." "What can't be right?" Maya asked, her voice dangerously calm. "Well, the real Maya Richardson would be—" Sarah gestured vaguely, her words trailing off into the air. "Different. Important, you know?" Derek leaned over the counter, his voice dripping with condescension. "Let me explain it to you, sweetheart. This is a 5-star establishment. We host Fortune 500 CEOs, A-list celebrities, foreign diplomats. Look around." With a grandiose gesture, he encompassed the crystal chandeliers hanging like giant jewels, the imported Italian marble gleaming under the lights, the hand-carved mahogany reception desk exuding luxury. "Do you see anyone else dressed like they just walked out of a Walmart parking lot?" Derek's indifference, his confidence in his own superiority, was almost palpable. Maya checked her phone, 11:52 p.m. 8 minutes. 8 minutes until her crucial conference call with Yamamoto Industries in Tokyo. 8 minutes to close a $200 million manufacturing deal that had taken 6 months to negotiate, a deal that could redefine an industry. The lobby atmosphere shifted, growing dense, charged. Other guests, drawn by the silent but electric confrontation, began to realize what was happening. An elderly white couple in designer evening wear whispered behind jeweled hands, their eyes fixed on the drama. A business executive in a $1,000 suit paused his phone conversation, his gaze absorbed in the spectacle. In the seating area, a young woman, Jennifer Kim, discreetly pulled out her phone. She opened Instagram Live, whispering urgently to her invisible audience, "Guys, I'm witnessing some serious discrimination at this fancy Chicago hotel right now. This is insane." The viewer count skyrocketed, 47, 89, 156. The spark of online outrage had just ignited. Derek turned back to Maya, his confidence swelling with each passing second, inflated by the growing audience. "I've been in luxury hospitality for 8 years. I can spot a scammer across the entire lobby. The way you walk, the way you talk, that cheap bag you're carrying, everything's wrong." He pointed an accusing finger at her canvas sneakers, his voice full of studied contempt. "You know what those shoes tell me? They tell me you take the bus. They tell me you shop at thrift stores. They tell me you've never seen the inside of a place like this, except maybe to clean it." Sarah let out a nervous chuckle behind her hand, a sound that was both an attempt at camaraderie and a sign of her own insecurity. "Derek, you're awful. But you're not wrong either." Derek's mockery, Sarah's echoing laugh, the growing crowd of curious eyes. The Sterling Grand lobby had transformed into a circus of judgments, and Maya was the main attraction. With deliberate slowness, almost theatrical, Maya slightly opened her messenger bag, revealing the edge of her United Airlines first-class boarding pass. Chicago to Tokyo, departing at 6 a.m., the flight that would seal the Yamamoto deal. Beside it, a glint of the edge of her black American Express Centurion card, the one Derek had just destroyed. A silent, cruel irony that only Maya knew, a secret she kept hidden as the drama unfolded. "I understand you're busy," Maya said, her voice still steady, unwavering despite the growing hostility. "But I really need to check in." Derek's laugh was sharp, full of cruelty, a mockery of Maya's composure. "Busy, ma'am? I've got time. I've got all the time in the world to explain reality to you." He leaned in even closer, his breath faintly smelling of coffee and arrogance hovering over her. "This isn't a community center where you can walk in and demand things. This is private property. My property. To protect." Just then, Patricia Wong, the assistant manager, emerged from the back office, a whirlwind of reports in her arms, her face tense with concentration. Derek intercepted her immediately, grabbing her arm with a familiarity that denoted power, his voice loud enough to echo across the marble lobby. "Pat, we've got a situation here. Someone's trying to scam their way into a penthouse with fake documents and a sob story." Patricia's eyes scanned Maya from head to toe, a cold and calculating scrutiny. The judgment was instant and absolute. Her lips curled slightly at the sight of the faded jeans, the simple white t-shirt, the worn messenger bag. "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to show me real ID," she declared, her voice tinged with skepticism. "And I mean government-issued photo ID proving you can afford a $2,800 a night suite." Jennifer's Instagram Live viewer count hit 312. Comments began flooding her screen, a cascade of outrage. "This is 2025, and we're still dealing with this. Someone needs to review this hotel ASAP. At Sterling Hotels, your staff is racist, loud. Call the manager now. This woman deserves better." Maya, with supernatural patience, pulled out her driver's license. Patricia examined it like a forensic expert, held it up to the light, checked the hologram, and even, in an almost comical gesture, smelled it. Her brow furrowed, her conviction of fraud unshaken. "This could be fake too," she announced loudly, addressing Derek and the invisible lobby audience. "Identity theft is a serious crime, Derek. Should we call the police now or wait for security?" Derek nodded gravely, a sage in his own play. "Good thinking. We can't be too careful these days. Some people will try anything for a free night in luxury." He pulled out his phone with a triumphant smile and started dialing. "Chicago Police. Yes, this is Derek Walsh, night manager at the Sterling Grand Hotel. We have a situation involving alleged fraud." The digital clock read 11:54 p.m., 6 minutes left. Maya watched Derek's performance, his theatrical concern for hotel security. She noted how he glanced sideways at the other guests, ensuring his authority was on full display. This wasn't just discrimination. For him, it was pure entertainment, a stage set for his ego. Sarah leaned toward Patricia, her voice a whisper laced with excitement. "Should I cancel the penthouse reservation? Open it up for someone who actually belongs here?" "Absolutely," Patricia replied without hesitation. "No point holding a room for someone who clearly can't afford it." A text message buzzed on Maya's phone, breaking the tension. Her assistant. "Yamamoto Industries calling in 6 minutes. Conference room booked. You ready?" Maya looked up at Derek and Patricia, both standing with arms crossed like sentinels guarding a castle. Behind them, Sarah was already typing, presumably canceling her reservation. In the seating area, Jennifer's live stream had exploded past 800 viewers. Comments were a mix of outrage and support, but the damage was spreading beyond this lobby. "I'm ready," Maya whispered to herself, checking the time once more. 11:55 p.m. Derek snapped his fingers toward a corner of the lobby. "Marcus, we need you up here." The head of security, Marcus Thompson, emerged from behind a marble pillar, his imposing 6-foot frame outlined in his Navy uniform. At 35, Marcus had seen enough hotel drama to fill a book. But something about this situation felt different. Wrong. "What's the problem, Derek?" Marcus asked, his eyes scanning Maya's face. There was something familiar about her, but he couldn't place it. "We've got someone trying to scam their way into the penthouse," Derek explained, his voice booming across the lobby like a town crier's. "Fake documents, fake card, the whole playbook. She's been here 20 minutes refusing to leave." Derek gestured dramatically toward Maya. "Look at her, Marcus. Does she look like penthouse material? I mean, seriously, look at her." Marcus looked down at Maya. "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to come with me." "Officer Thompson," Maya said quietly, reading his name badge. "Before you do anything, I strongly suggest you consult the employee handbook, specifically Section 14.3. Marcus paused, confused. "What are you talking about?" "Just check it, please." Derek rolled his eyes. "She's trying to confuse you with legal jargon. Classic scammer tactic. They watch YouTube videos about tenant rights and think they know the law." Jennifer's live stream had exploded to 1,847 viewers. She kept her phone steady, whispering urgently to her audience. "This is getting insane, people. They called security on this woman for literally nothing. The racism is so blatant it's not even—" Comments multiplied faster than she could read. "Record everything. This hotel is about to get dragged. Someone call the news. #racism Sterling Hotel needs to trend. Where are the civil rights lawyers when you need them? Never staying at Sterling hotels again. This is disgusting in 2025. Patricia grabbed Maya's phone from the counter. "Let me take a closer look at this supposed reservation." She scrolled through the email, her brow furrowing deeper. "This is sophisticated. Whoever faked this really knew what they were doing. Look at these details," she continued, holding up the phone like damning evidence. "Professional email format, correct hotel letterhead, even the right confirmation number structure. But we know it's fake because—" She gestured toward Maya again. "Because look at her." "It's not fake," Maya said simply, her voice a calm echo amid the growing storm. "Sure it's not," Patricia snorted, "and I'm Oprah Winfrey." "Derek, should we call the police now? This is clearly criminal fraud." Derek was reveling in the moment, performing for his audience of hotel guests and live stream viewers. "You know what I love about my job? Protecting honest, paying customers from people who think they can just walk in here and take what they want." He pointed to the elderly couple in evening wear. "Mr. and Mrs. Henderson have been staying with us for 15 years. They pay $3,000 a night and never cause trouble. They dress appropriately. They respect our establishment." Mrs. Henderson shifted uncomfortably in her seat, but her husband nodded approvingly. Derek continued his performance, his voice growing louder and more theatrical. But then you get people who think they can walk in here with their fake documents and their attitude, demanding penthouse suites like they own the place, like they deserve something they clearly can't afford. He pointed to Maya's messenger bag. See that bag? I've seen better luggage at a gas station. And those shoes, those are work shoes. Manual labor shoes, not penthouse shoes. Sarah chuckled from behind the counter. Derek, you're so bad. But I'm not wrong, am I? Maybe she does own the place. A voice rang out from across the lobby. Everyone turned. A young African-American man, impeccably dressed in a business suit, was walking toward them, having just entered through the revolving doors. His briefcase bore the logo of a major consulting firm. Derek's face darkened. Excuse me, sir, but this is a private matter. Private matter? The man laughed, glancing at the crowd of onlookers and recording phones. Half of Chicago is watching this on Instagram Live right now. This is as private as Times Square on New Year's Eve. Marcus stepped between them. Sir, I'm going to need you to... To what? Stand here in a public hotel lobby? I'm a guest here too, officer. Room 2847. I've been staying here 3 days on business. He pulled out his key card, showing it to Marcus. And in 3 days? This is the most disgusting display of racism I've witnessed in this establishment. Derek's confidence wavered slightly. He hadn't expected support for Maya. Sir, you don't understand the situation. This woman is attempting to commit fraud. What I do understand, the businessman shot back, is that you've been harassing a black woman for 30 minutes with no real proof of wrongdoing. What I understand, and is that your assumptions are based purely on her appearance. More hotel guests were gathering now, forming a semicircle around the scene. A family with teenagers looked uncomfortable but curious. A couple in their 40s whispered urgently while recording on their phones. Maya checked her phone. 11:57 p.m. 3 minutes until Tokyo called. Patricia was still examining Maya's phone when her own buzzed. She looked at it and her face paled. Derek, she whispered, her voice barely audible. We might have a problem. What kind of problem? Derek asked, his tone defiant. I just got a text from corporate. They're asking about some kind of situation involving discrimination complaints. Derek waved it off dismissively. Probably routine. Don't worry about it. But Patricia's hand shook as she read further. No, Derek. This says they've been monitoring social media mentions of our hotel. They want a full report on any incident involving racial discrimination. She looked up at Maya, then back at her phone. They're asking specifically about tonight, about the Chicago location, about the night shift. Derek's face began to tense. That's impossible. How would they know? Because it's trending on social media, the businessman exclaimed. Because thousands of people are watching this happen in real time. Jennifer's live stream had hit 4,200 viewers. The hashtag #Racism Sterling Hotel was starting to gain traction on Twitter. Local Chicago influencers were sharing the stream, adding their own comments about discrimination in luxury establishments. Marcus was reading something on his phone, too. His expression grew increasingly concerned. Derek, he said slowly, I think we need to step back and reassess this situation. Are you kidding me? Derek snapped. Since when do we let alleged criminals dictate hotel policy? Since this live-streamed interaction went viral, Marcus replied. Since corporate is apparently watching. Since this woman mentioned employee handbook sections that I'm now looking up. He held up his phone, showing Derek a screenshot. Section 14.3 is about immediate termination for discriminatory behavior. Why would she know that? Derek's jaw clenched. I don't care if the president himself is watching. This is my shift, my lobby, my decision. I've been managing this hotel for 3 years without a single complaint. Actually, Sarah said quietly, staring at her computer screen, that's not entirely true. There have been 17 formal complaints against our location in the last 6 months. Derek whipped around. What? Why wasn't I informed? Because most of them were about you, Sarah admitted, her voice barely a whisper. The lobby fell silent except for the soft ping of notifications from Jennifer's live stream. Maya glanced around the lobby. The elderly couple whispered nervously. The business guest was now recording on his own phone. The family with teenagers watched openly. Jennifer was practically bouncing in her seat as the viewer count climbed toward 5,000. The digital clock read 11:58 p.m. 2 minutes until her Tokyo call. 2 minutes until a $200 million deal that could reshape international manufacturing alliances. 2 minutes until Derek Walsh learned exactly who he'd been talking to. Maya reached into her messenger bag and pulled out a leather folder. Officer Thompson, she said quietly, that employee handbook section. You might want to read it aloud. Marcus pulled up the employee app on his phone. His voice, surprisingly clear in the silent lobby, rang out as he read, Section 14.3. Any employee engaging in discriminatory behavior based on race, gender, religion, or perceived economic status will face immediate termination without severance, plus personal legal liability for reputational damage to the company. Derek's face turned livid, the color draining completely. Why are you reading that? Are you? Maya slowly opened her leather folder with the precision of a magician preparing her final trick. She placed a single sheet of paper on the marble counter. The Sterling Hotel Group letterhead gleamed under the crystal chandeliers, an ironic contrast to the darkness enveloping Derek. He squinted at the document, his mind struggling to process what he saw. What? What is this? Your quarterly performance report, Maya said softly, her voice low, yet carrying the weight of 1,000 empires. Revenue down 23% this quarter. Customer satisfaction rating 2.3 out of 5 stars. Staff turnover 89% annually. She pointed to a specific line with a steady finger. Average nightly occupancy 67%. Industry standard for luxury hotels is 85%. Your department is failing on every measurable metric. Patricia leaned over Derek's shoulder, her face paling as she read. How do you have this? These are confidential corporate documents. Maya reached back into her folder, pulling out her business card. She placed it beside the report. The black lettering was simple, elegant. Maya Richardson, Chief Executive Officer, Richardson Ventures. Derek stared at the card as if it were written in ancient hieroglyphs, his brain unable to comprehend the reality unfolding. I don't understand. Let me help you understand, Maya said, pulling out her iPad. She swiped to a specific page and turned it for everyone to see, the leadership page of the Sterling Hotel Group corporate website. Her professional photo smiled from the screen. The same face, the same woman, but dressed in a tailored business suit instead of jeans and canvas sneakers. Maya Richardson, majority shareholder. Richardson Ventures acquired Sterling Hotel Group for $847 million on March 15, 2025. Miss Richardson now controls 67% ownership of the luxury hotel chain. The lobby silence was deafening. You could hear the soft hum of the air conditioning, the distant tick of an antique grandfather clock, the barely audible sounds from Jennifer's live stream. Then the lobby erupted. Jennifer's live chat exploded. She owns the hotel. No way. No way. No way. Derek is fired. I'm screaming. Plot twist of the century. This is better than Netflix. Someone call an ambulance for Derek. Derek's legs buckled. He gripped the marble counter to steady himself, his knuckles white against the dark stone. That's impossible. You can't be... Can't be what, Derek? Maya asked, her voice as calm as glass. Can't be successful, can't own a billion-dollar company, can't afford a penthouse suite in my own hotel? She gestured to her casual attire. Or do you mean I can't look like this and still be your boss's boss? Marcus stepped back, his hand instinctively moving toward his security radio, not to call for backup, but because his training screamed that he'd just witnessed a career-ending disaster. Patricia's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Ma'am, if we'd known, there was no way to identify. You weren't dressed. Dressed how? Maya interrupted gently. With a sign saying billionaire? A tiara? What exactly are successful black women supposed to wear to be treated with basic human dignity in their own establishments? The businessman from room 2847 began clapping slowly. Best hotel drama I've ever seen, and I travel 200 days a year for consulting. Other guests started pulling out their phones, realizing they were witnessing something extraordinary. The elderly couple looked mortified. The family with teenagers recorded everything. Sarah typed frantically on her computer, searching for Maya's real reservation. Oh God, oh God, oh God, it's real. The penthouse reservation is real and prepaid 6 months in advance. She looked up at Maya with tears in her eyes. The payment came from the Richardson Ventures corporate account. $16,800 for 6 nights. I should have checked more carefully. Derek's voice cracked like a teenager's during puberty. Ma'am, if only you'd told us who you were. I did tell you who I was, Maya replied, her tone never rising above conversational. I told you I was Maya Richardson. With a confirmed reservation, you decided that wasn't enough based on my appearance. She pulled another document from her folder. This is the acquisition agreement. March 15th, 2025, Richardson Ventures purchased Sterling Hotel Group for $847 million in cash. We now own 847 properties in 23 countries. Maya pointed to Derek's name badge. Derek Walsh, Employee ID 4471. You work for me. She turned to Patricia. Patricia Wong, Employee ID 4203. You work for me. She looked at Sarah. Sarah Mitchell, Employee ID 4892. You work for me. Derek tried to straighten up, attempting to salvage some dignity. Ma'am, there's been a terrible misunderstanding. If you could just... Maya raised her hand. The only misunderstanding, Derek, was yours. You assumed a black woman in casual clothes couldn't belong in your hotel. You made that assumption in front of witnesses, on camera, and with spectacular confidence. She checked her phone at 11:59 p.m. Before I take my Tokyo conference call in 60 seconds, let me share why I'm really here tonight. Maya pulled out a printed email chain from her folder. The subject line was visible to all. Discrimination complaints, Sterling Grand Chicago, urgent review required. 47 formal complaints in 3 months, Maya announced. 47 guests who felt uncomfortable, judged, or discriminated against in this property. Complaints about staff assumptions, service disparities, and overt hostility. She flipped through the pages. Guest reports include comments like, staff treated me like I didn't belong, assumed I couldn't afford my room, made comments about my appearance, and my personal favorite, the manager asked if I was sure I was in the right hotel. She looked directly at Derek. So I came to investigate in person. Thank you for the demonstration. Jennifer's live stream had hit 12,000 viewers. The story was being picked up by local news Twitter accounts. Racism Sterling Hotel was trending in Chicago. Derek attempted one last desperate move, his voice tinged with false humility. Ma'am, there's been a misunderstanding. If you could just forgive this isolated incident. Maya's phone rang. The caller ID read Yamamoto Industries, Tokyo. She answered without breaking eye contact with Derek. Yamamoto-san. Yes, I'm ready for our call. I'm conducting the audit I mentioned earlier. I'll have all findings for our board meeting tomorrow. She paused, listening. Yes, the discrimination issues are worse than we thought, but I have a comprehensive solution I'll implement immediately. Derek's face had gone from red to white to a sickly green. Patricia was silently crying behind the counter. Marcus stood frozen, his hand still near his radio. Maya ended the call and looked around the lobby. The crowd of guests had grown to nearly 20 people, all recording or live streaming the fallout. Now, Maya said, opening her laptop, let's discuss your employment status. Maya opened her laptop and connected it to the wall-mounted lobby screen. The Sterling Hotel Group logo appeared, followed by a presentation titled Operational Audit, Chicago Location, December 17, 2025. Allow me to share some numbers, Maya said, her voice carrying the calm authority of someone who had built companies from the ground up. The tone wasn't aggressive or vengeful. It was the serene professionalism of a CEO presenting quarterly results to shareholders. Derek stared at the screen in growing horror as Maya began her presentation. This was no longer just embarrassment. It was his entire career crumbling in real time, broadcast to thousands of strangers online. The first slide appeared with white text on a black background. Monthly revenue at the Sterling Grand Chicago had fallen from $1.8 million to $1.2 million over the past year. Customer satisfaction scores had plummeted to 2.3 out of 5 stars, while the luxury hotel industry standard remained 2.2. Staff turnover had hit 89% annually. These numbers tell a story, Maya continued, advancing to the next slide. They tell the story of a hotel where guests don't feel welcome, where employees don't want to work, and where management has lost control of basic service standards. Patricia gripped the marble counter, her knuckles white. She had seen some of these metrics in corporate emails before, but seeing them exposed publicly made the failure impossible to ignore. Derek Walsh, Maya said, turning to look at him directly, night manager employee ID 4471, annual salary $54,000. In the last 6 months, 23 formal guest complaints specifically about interactions with you. Derek's face went ashen. That's not possible. They would have told me. They did tell you, Maya interrupted, clicking to another slide. 17 written warnings were issued to your personnel file. Your supervisor attempted corrective coaching sessions 4 times. Your last performance review rated you 1.8 out of 5 stars. She paused, letting the numbers sink in. Your department's customer satisfaction scores are the lowest in our entire North American portfolio. Guests specifically mentioned feeling uncomfortable, judged, and discriminated against during night shift interactions. Jennifer's live stream had exploded past 15,000 viewers. Comments scrolled so fast, the text blurred. She's destroying them with facts. This is better than court TV. Derek about to update his resume. Queen of receipts. I can't stop watching. Maya turned to Patricia. Patricia Wong, assistant manager, employee ID 4203. Annual salary $61,000. 19 guest complaints in 6 months. 7 failed mystery shopper evaluations out of 8 attempts. Patricia's breathing grew shallow. She knew about some complaints, but 19? She had assumed most guest dissatisfaction was due to unrealistic expectations or isolated incidents. Your diversity training is 8 months overdue, Maya continued. Your customer service certification expired last year and hasn't been renewed. 4 disciplinary actions are documented in your file for inappropriate guest treatment. She clicked to the next slide. The pattern here isn't isolated incidents or personality conflicts. This is systemic discrimination that has created a hostile environment for guests and employees alike. Maya stepped closer to the counter, her voice remaining calm but carrying unmistakable authority. When I acquired Sterling Hotel Group 6 months ago, this Chicago location was flagged as our highest risk property for discrimination lawsuits. Our legal department estimated potential damages at $2.3 million for pending cases. Derek tried to interrupt. Ma'am, surely those figures are inflated. 3 federal cases are progressing, Maya continued without acknowledging him. Our attorneys estimate settlement costs could reach $5.7 million if we lose. That's assuming no additional cases are filed. She pointed to Jennifer's phone, still live streaming to thousands. After tonight's performance, broadcast to over 15,000 witnesses, our legal exposure has increased exponentially. The businessman from room 2847 shook his head in amazement. In 20 years of corporate consulting, I've never seen such a thorough public audit. This is a masterclass in crisis management. Maya advanced to another slide showing the corporate hierarchy. Derek Walsh reports to Regional Manager Janet Davis, who reports to VP Michael Carter, who reports to EVP Sarah Kim, who reports directly to me. She let that information settle before continuing. When you disrespected me tonight, you weren't just insulting a guest. You were publicly humiliating your company's owner in front of thousands of witnesses. Every person watching this live stream now associates Sterling Hotels with racism and discrimination. Derek's hands trembled. Sweat beaded on his forehead despite the perfect lobby temperature control. Ma'am, please. I have a family, I have a mortgage. I didn't know who you were. You didn't know I was the owner, Maya nodded. But you knew I was a human being who deserved basic respect. You made conscious choices about how to treat me based solely on my appearance and your own biases. She clicked to display the employee handbook section they discussed earlier. Section 14.3 is very clear on discriminatory behavior. Immediate termination without severance, plus personal legal liability for reputational damage. Maya closed her laptop and walked to the center of the lobby, positioning herself where everyone could see her clearly. The crystal chandeliers cast dramatic shadows, and for a moment she looked less like a weary traveler and more like the Fortune 500 CEO she truly was. Derek Walsh, Patricia Wong, you have 3 options, and I need your decisions immediately. She raised one finger. Option 1, immediate resignation. You leave quietly tonight. I provide neutral employment references that don't mention this incident. You keep whatever professional reputation you have left. 2 fingers. Option 2, termination for cause. This incident goes on your permanent employment record. No references from Sterling Hotels. Possible civil litigation for the brand damage you've caused. Future employers will see a discrimination-related firing when they check references. 3 fingers. Option 3, corporate investigation. A full HR review that will take 3 to 6 months. Media attention. Legal depositions. Your name's permanently associated with this incident in public records and news articles. The lobby fell into complete silence. Even Jennifer's live chat seemed to pause as viewers awaited the response. You have 60 seconds to decide, Maya announced, checking her phone. I have 3 more Sterling properties to visit tonight for similar audits, and I don't have time for extended deliberations. Derek's voice broke when he finally spoke. Ma'am, surely there's a middle ground, some way to handle this privately. I've been with the company 3 years. I've worked holidays, overtime, covered for other managers. Maya pulled a thick folder from her portfolio. Derek, this contains documentation of every complaint filed against you. Most guests didn't pursue their concerns because they didn't want the hassle of fighting a large corporation. They simply took their business elsewhere and warned their friends about Sterling Hotels. She opened the folder, revealing dozens of printed emails and complaint forms. Guest reports included comments like, "Resign, staff treated me like I didn't belong." The manager assumed I couldn't afford my room, made inappropriate comments about my appearance, and asked if I was sure I was in the right hotel. Patricia stepped forward, mascara running down her cheeks. Miss Richardson, I'm so sorry. I was just following Derek's lead. I thought I was supporting my supervisor. I never meant for this to escalate. Patricia, you're both adults who made conscious choices, Maya replied firmly. You chose to treat me with contempt and disrespect. The fact that I own this company is irrelevant. You would have treated any black woman in casual clothes exactly the same way. Sarah's voice came from behind the counter, small and scared. And me, ma'am? Am I getting fired too? Maya turned to study the young woman. Sarah, you're 24 years old. You followed orders from your superiors, but you also participated in humiliating a guest. You laughed when Derek made cruel comments. You suggested my credit card had diseases. Sarah's face crumpled. I was just trying to fit in. I didn't want Derek to think I wasn't loyal to the team. The question, Maya continued, is whether you want to learn from this experience or repeat these mistakes throughout your career. Do you want to be the kind of person who treats others with dignity regardless of appearance? Or do you want to be someone who judges people based on stereotypes? Marcus stepped forward, his security uniform impeccable despite the late hour. Ma'am, what about my role in this? I was called to escort you off the premises. Maya nodded approvingly. Marcus, you questioned the situation immediately. You suggested reviewing employee policies. You showed reluctance to act purely on assumptions and appearances. You demonstrated the critical thinking your colleagues lacked. She paused, looking around the lobby at the crowd of guests still filming and watching. Marcus, you have a choice too. You can help me rebuild this hotel's culture, or you can seek employment elsewhere, but your choice involves becoming part of the solution. The digital clock read 12:03 a.m. Time's up, Maya announced with the solemnity of a judge delivering a verdict. Derek Walsh, what is your decision? Derek's voice came out as barely a whisper. I choose to resign. His hands shook as he removed his name badge from his jacket and placed it on the marble counter. The small piece of plastic and metal seemed to echo in the silent lobby. Maya nodded once. Patricia Wong, your decision. Resignation, Patricia sobbed, her mascara-streaked face crumpling as she removed her own badge. I'm so sorry. I'm so very sorry. Your apologies are noted, Maya replied without emotion. Sarah Mitchell, what is your choice? Sarah wiped her nose with the back of her hand. I want to learn, ma'am. I want to be better. I don't want to be the person I was tonight. Maya studied the young woman carefully. Learning requires acknowledging what you did wrong. Can you do that? I participated in humiliating you, Sarah said, her voice gaining strength. I made assumptions about you based on your clothes and your race. I laughed when I should have spoken up. I was cruel because I thought it would make me fit in with my coworkers. That's honest, Maya acknowledged. Marcus Thompson, what is your decision? Marcus straightened to his full height. I want to help fix this place, ma'am. What happened tonight should never happen to anyone, anywhere, ever again. Maya smiled for the first time since entering the hotel. It transformed her entire face, revealing the warmth hidden beneath layers of exhaustion and professional composure. Then let's get to work, she said, opening her laptop again. Derek and Patricia gathered their personal belongings from behind the counter, moving like sleepwalkers through a nightmare. Other staff members would learn of their terminations via corporate emails in the morning, but for now, they simply faded into the Chicago night. Maya projected a new presentation titled Immediate Reform Implementation Sterling Grand Chicago. Sarah, Marcus, you're about to participate in the most comprehensive hotel reform program in our company's history. What you learn here will be rolled out across all 847 Sterling properties worldwide. Jennifer's live stream had hit 22,000 viewers. Local news stations were calling the hotel requesting interviews. The hashtag Sterling Hotel Reform was trending alongside the original #Racism Sterling Hotel. First, Maya announced, personnel changes effective immediately. She pulled out her phone and dialed. Janet Davis, this is Maya Richardson. Yes, I know it's after midnight. I'm at the Chicago location and we have a situation requiring immediate intervention. Maya put the call on speaker so everyone could hear. Janet, I need you to temporarily reassign Keisha Williams from our Boston property to manage Chicago starting tomorrow morning. Full authority to implement new protocols. Keisha Williams, the voice on the phone replied, is one of our best managers, but Boston needs her. Boston will survive, Maya interrupted. Chicago is in crisis mode. Also, contact our diversity and inclusion consultant, Dr. Amanda Foster. Schedule emergency training sessions for all Chicago staff within 48 hours. Mr. Suters, Han, Kisten, Rusai. Mai hung up and turned to Sarah and Marcus. Keisha Williams is a 15-year hospitality veteran who also happens to be African American. She specializes in turning around underperforming properties through cultural transformation. Sarah raised her hand timidly. Ma'am, will I be working under her? If you prove worthy of staying, Mai replied, your employment will be probationary for the next 90 days. You'll undergo intensive retraining and courses in cultural sensitivity, unconscious bias recognition, and luxury hospitality standards. Maya advanced to the next slide. Technology solutions. We're implementing what I'm calling the Guest Dignity Initiative, she explained. Every guest interaction will be tracked via a new mobile app for real-time satisfaction monitoring. She showed them a prototype on her phone. Guests can report discrimination instantly via QR codes posted throughout the hotel. Reports go directly to corporate leadership, bypassing local management. Marcus leaned in with interest. That's brilliant. No way for local staff to hide issues or retaliate against whistleblowers. Exactly, Maya confirmed. We're also installing new security cameras with audio recording in all public spaces, not to spy on employees, but to protect both guests and staff from false accusations. She clicked to another slide. Staff accountability measures. Every employee will complete monthly unconscious bias training. Guest satisfaction scores will be directly tied to performance reviews and salary increases. Discrimination complaints will trigger immediate investigation by external consultants. Maya paused her presentation and looked directly at the guest still watching from the lobby seating area. To everyone who witnessed tonight's events, I want you to know this is not representative of Sterling Hotel Group values or standards. The businessman from room 2847 stood up. Ma'am, I've stayed at Sterling Properties for years. This is the first time I've seen anything like this, but I'm impressed by your immediate response. An elderly woman in a silk evening gown spoke up. I feel terrible that we just sat here and watched. We should have said something. Maya nodded thoughtfully. Part of our new Guest Dignity Initiative includes bystander intervention training for staff and guests. We'll provide resources for people witnessing discrimination, helping them understand how to intervene or report incidents safely. She returned to her presentation. Community accountability. Sterling Grand Chicago will partner with local civil rights organizations to establish an external oversight board. Community leaders will conduct quarterly reviews of our practices and policies. Maya pulled out a business card and handed it to Jennifer, who was still live streaming. This is Dr. Patricia Henderson from the Chicago Urban League. She'll be our community liaison, ensuring our reforms have real accountability beyond corporate promises. Jennifer looked at the card, then at Maya. Can I ask you a question on camera? Of course. How are you not hating them? How do you stay so calm after being treated like that? Maya considered the question carefully. Hate is exhausting. Revenge is temporary, but systemic change, that's permanent. I'd rather spend my energy making sure no one else experiences what I did tonight. She pointed to Sarah and Marcus. These two chose to learn and grow. Derek and Patricia chose to leave. Both responses tell me our reforms are necessary and possible. Maya checked her phone. It's 12:15 a.m. Sarah, your shift officially ended 15 minutes ago, but I'd like you to stay another hour to begin your retraining process. Yes, ma'am, Sarah replied immediately. Marcus, I need you to escort Derek and Patricia off the premises and ensure they surrender their access cards and badges. Then we'll discuss your new role in guest relations. Marcus nodded. Understood. Maya addressed the remaining guests in the lobby. The penthouse suite is finally available for check-in, but frankly, after tonight's events, I think I'll sleep better knowing real change is already underway. She closed her laptop and glanced around the transformed lobby. The same crystal chandeliers hung overhead. The same marble floors reflected the light, but everything felt different now. Sarah, Maya said, tell me about the guest dignity initiative we just outlined. What does it mean to you? Sarah straightened her shoulders. It means every guest who walks through these doors deserves respect, no matter what they look like or how much money we think they have. It means our job is to make people feel welcome, not judged. And if I see another employee mistreating a guest, I'll report it immediately. I won't laugh or stay silent. I have a responsibility to protect our guests and our hotel's reputation. Maya smiled again. Exactly. Marcus, what is your understanding of your new role? I'm not just security anymore, Marcus replied. I'm guest advocacy. My job is to ensure everyone feels safe and respected in this hotel and to intervene when they don't. Maya nodded approvingly. Excellent. You both just demonstrated more leadership than Derek and Patricia showed in their combined years of employment. Jennifer lowered her phone for the first time in over an hour. Miss Richardson, can I say watching how you handled this has been incredible? You could have destroyed those people, but instead you gave them options. You could have screamed and threatened lawsuits, but instead, you implemented solutions. Jennifer, what's your last name? Maya asked. Kim. Jennifer Kim. Jennifer Kim. Would you be interested in a position in our corporate communications department? We need people who understand the power of social media and authentic storytelling. Jennifer's mouth fell open. Are you serious? I'm always serious about talent acquisition, Maya replied. Email me your resume tomorrow. The lobby had transformed from a place of discrimination into a classroom for change. The same physical space now vibrated with possibility instead of hostility. Maya finally headed toward the elevators, her worn messenger bag slung over her shoulder. Sarah, Marcus, I'll see you both tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. for your first reform training session. Get some rest. Tomorrow, we begin rebuilding this hotel's soul. As the elevator doors closed, Maya allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. The penthouse suite awaited her, but more importantly, real change was already beginning. 3 months later, the Sterling Grand Chicago boasted a 4.6-star rating. Sarah Mitchell wore a supervisor's uniform, greeting guests with genuine warmth. Marcus Thompson had become guest relations manager. Revenue was up 34%. Maya stood where Derek had crushed her credit card. A small plaque now read, "In recognition of the dignity owed to every guest." The Guest Dignity Initiative had rolled out across all Sterling properties worldwide. 0 discrimination complaints. The reforms became a Harvard Business School case study. Maya pulled out her phone, recording a final message. Discrimination still happens every day in hotels, restaurants, and stores across America. But change is possible when people choose accountability over defensiveness. She looked directly into the camera. Share your experiences of discrimination in the comments. Tag the companies that need reform. Subscribe to Blacktail Stories for more transformation wins. Remember, your voice matters. Your story matters. Your dignity is non-negotiable. Sterling's transformation proved systemic change was possible. One courageous choice, one change at a time.